Okay, fellow traders, market review for gold in the 5-minute chart using ICT strategies. And as always, first things first, make sure your chart is set to New York. Once you have that, you want to add a line at 12 midnight for the beginning of the day's trading, and you want to add another line at 7 a.m. Once you have that, everything on the left hand side of 7 a.m. becomes your London session. Once you've done that, you want to highlight the London session high, draw it out to the future, highlight the London session low and draw it out to the future. And you want to highlight any fair value gaps or breakers that stick out to you, because why? Price is going to use these points to either swing higher or swing lower, and this helps us find setups in the New York session, which is when we trade from 7 to 11 to be specific, but you can trade the whole New York session using this methodology. But I'd advise that if you are beginning, start practicing it on the New York session, as these trades pan out slightly faster. And then in the New York lunch section, that's when you need to hold overnight, and I don't like doing that. Cool. So first things first to notice, we took out a previous day high, and this is why it's important. In the London session, you highlight the low, you highlight the high, and then you drag the previous day high to the future. So this was Tuesday's high, this is yesterday's trading, Wednesday, and that high was dragged out. So immediately when price takes out a low or a high, what am I waiting for? I want to see whether or not we have a breaker. Do we have a breaker? Hell yeah. Breaking market structure. What does that let me know? We are now currently bearish. Until what happens? Until we take out another low and break to the upside, we are bearish. So my bias is then bearish. That's how I know my bias for the session. I'm not looking at higher time frames, and doing all those things. And not that I'm trying to shoot that, but I'm just saying that that's all I'm looking for on the 5-minute chart. I want to see whether or not, what is the last liquidity point that we swept. Have we swept a high or a low? Okay, in this case, the last liquidity point that was swept was a high. So what does that say? My signal or my strategy lets me know, okay, we've just recently swept a high and we created a breaker to the downside. So we are currently bearish until what happens? Until we sweep an old low or the London session low and create a breaker. So all of this only matters if we've created a breaker. That's how I know. It doesn't matter if we sweep the high and then just start breaking down. I can miss out of that whole trade. It's fine. But what I found using or just studying price action over and over and over, implementing the ICT breaker, whenever there's a breaker and we've just swept a high or a low, that's when the trade is like kinda amplified. The probability of it sticking to that is higher. Okay, I digress. So first thing to notice, we swept the high, broke down, started breaking down. Once you've highlighted your London session, you want to highlight any fair value gaps, breakers, anything that sticks out where price will try and grab onto. In this case, you couldn't highlight the breaker because why? The breaker had already been used, had already been reclaimed. I don't know if that's a thing, but that's what I say in my mind. Okay, since we've reclaimed the breaker here, then what am I waiting for in the London session, in the New York session? I'm waiting to see if we are going to sweep the London high and then create a breaker, or just before we even reach there. So you go through the PD arrays. If you understand the PD arrays, fair value gaps, breakers, order blocks, equal highs, and highs, I think, the PD array. Check that out. Everything I mentioned, ICT has a video for. So these are his concepts that he's mastered beautifully, and I'm just showing you how they apply to gold. If you are a gold lover like me, I love trading gold. I think it's explosive, and yeah, it works for me. Cool. So if you go through the PD arrays, your breaker, fair value gaps, and order blocks, old highs. We didn't make it to the high, but we made it to the order block. What did we do when we got to the order block? Price broke down. And we've already established from the London session that we took out the previous day high and broke down for the whole session. All we're doing is just retracing to a point where we can just swing lower. We do that, we create a what? A fair value gap right there. We create that fair value gap, price comes, you could have put your stop right there or there. It depends with what you feel comfortable with. I always try and put it on the highest high, which would have been there because we are using this order block as an entry. Follow with me. So then, what are you aiming for? My first partial would have been here. Second partial was going to be here. And so now how do you know whether or not to hold for your second partial? Well, price passed this low here and we did not create any move that looked like this. That's just an example. We didn't create a move that looked kind of like this. This is how you know. When price passes a high or a low, if it wants to go back up again, so let's say that it passes this low. From here, we make a high, then we make a low, and then we touch that line again. That lets me know that the algorithm is now changing its state of delivery and we're about to go higher. But we didn't do that. So I was comfortable to hold for this low right here, and ironically, see what happens? This is when you know now, oh, okay, cool. I just need to be patient and wait for the right entry, because why? We took out the low and then immediately we started touching the line again. And if you understand your breakers, as I've said, all you need to do is study the variations of breakers. Here's the move: low, high, lower low, break-in market structure. What do you do? So this was a late trade, which I'm in the afternoon, I'm not involved. It's too late for me, South African time. So this candle here energetically breaks above, breaking this high here, breaks out that high. Multiple highs have been taken. When this candle retraces and touches that base, you enter, you put your stop here. What are you aiming for? This trade, it's either it's coming here, and we might use this as an order block, or we are going there. All you need to do is just watch what price is going to do. But my bet is on we are going to attack this high here. And then what happens when we attack that high? Again, you wait to see what? Do we create a breaker or are we supporting price? Most hypothetical thing that's going to happen, price might retrace right here and then keep going up. So that's that. Please do let me know if there's anything that you guys would like me to spend more time on and just break down more. But for now, I'm keeping the video short and straight to the point.